Yes, hi. My name is Luis Quintanilla,
And I'm Raven Harris.
and we'll be covering we're covering the Victoria case for Finance 5387, and I'm going to read through some of the assumptions that we took in this case. So the first one is we agree with the Director of Sales that sales predictions by the Mareside project team is a little bit over optimistic. The industry is currently in a recession. Therefore, for the first 3 years, we have reduced sales estimate by 10%. The second assumption is that we agree with Andrew Gowan. The target rate of return should be 7%. So we went ahead and used 7% as a discount rate in our MPV calculation. We also factored in a 3% inflation rate where necessary. We also utilized the gross profit margin to determine expenses. The next item is that we agree that the project will bring energy savings. So we went ahead and we factored in the savings for the 15 years of the project. Also, if the project is initiated, Merseyside will be more efficient, and thus it will cannibalize or erode production for the Rotterdam plant. So we also took that into consideration. If the project is executed, it will require the purchase of additional tank cars, and we believe that the acquisition of those cars is attributable to the project. So therefore, we went ahead and we factored the expenditure of 2 million British pounds to the project and depreciated the value of those cars over the 10-year period. And lastly, the last assumption is that we did not take into consideration the recommendation of the assistant plant manager. We believe that the improvements that he's recommends are a totally independent project, so it has nothing to do with this project.
Okay, so next we are going to analyze the 4 different requirements for the project to be approved. So the first requirement was that the impact on earnings per share was at least 0.022. So what we did on our working sheet tab is we first found the incremental gross profit by taking the new gross profit less the depreciation costs of both the mill and the tank cars and applying taxes to that. Then we lessed the old gross profit and took into consideration the taxes on that gross profit to find the incremental. What we did then was take that incremental gross profit divided by the shares outstanding to find the incremental EPS, which we came to 0.023. Because the requirement is 0.022, we did the project did meet this requirement, but it is by an extremely small margin, so we are moving forward with caution on that first requirement. Okay, for the second requirement, in our calculations, the payback period is equal to 5 years. This is higher than the payback period of 3.8 years determined by the Merseyside team in the case exhibit. So the required payback period for engineering efficiency set by the company was 6 years. So based on our adjusted calculations, the project did meet this requirement as well. Moving to the third, for the discounted cash flows, the net present value of the adjusted calculations gives us an NPV of 29,693,411.43. So this is higher than the amount determined by the Merseyside team of 10.6 million GBP. So for the project to be approved, the NPV must be positive, so this meets the requirement as well. And you can see that in our cash flows tab here at the bottom. And lastly, the assumption of internal rate of return. The required IRR for a project to be approved is 10%. And our calculations show that the IRR is actually equal to 21%. So the IRR determined by the Merseyside team was 24.3, and this project meets this requirement as well.
All right, so now we'll look at our cash flows, and we'll explain some of the numbers that we determined. So of course, revenue, as we can see here, we took the recession that we're in into account. So for the first 3 years, we did take a 10% reduction in revenues, and that's how we determined those numbers. And if we go down now and look at the lost output, of course that's the lost output due to the shutdown for the renovation. Plus, also we took into consideration erosion We factored that number in to get the lost output numbers. And then our expenses, which we can see here, we determined using the gross margin and our existing revenues to get our cost of goods sold. So that's how we determined our expenses. We couldn't find any other expenses called out in the project, so we used cost of goods sold determined through the gross profit margin, determined our expenses. And then the next cell that we see here is the lost output. I'm sorry, energy efficiency, right? Energy efficiency, of course, with the improvements we did take into consideration that there will be a savings from the upgrade. And next, we took into account also the depreciation of the tank cars and, of course, the upgrade or the improvements to the mill.
So based on all of our analysis here and the fact that the project did meet all 4 of the requirements set by the team, we think that the project should be initiated and they should move forward. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.